Hi, welcome back. In the first episode, I showed you how to create a MySQL table using PHP MyAdmin. We created a MyBlog database, and that had a TBL blog table inside it, and we created one entry. There it is. Now I'm going to show you how to use Dreamweaver to create a couple of PHP pages, one to add new entries to the blog and one to show all the entries in your blog. You'll notice that I've got my server-to-go server running, and if you're using WAMP or XAMPP or MAMP or whatever, then you need to make sure that your server is running, and we'll make note of the IP address that it's running on. Okay, so in the Explorer, what we're going to do is find the htdocs folder that the Apache server is running within. If you're using MAMP or WAMP, and then I believe the folder is called www. XAMPP server to go use htdocs. You can look at the documentation of the Apache server you're using to find out what the main folder is. Inside this folder, we're going to create a new folder called MyBlog, and this is going to be the folder that holds all of the content for our blog pages, not of course the actual data that's going to be stored in the MySQL tables. Now that we've created that folder, you can see that it's in the root of our server. There it is there. I'm going to go into Dreamweaver now and create a new site in Dreamweaver. I'm going to call it my blog site, and I'm going to find the my blog folder that I just created, and that of course is on my USB stick inside my server to go folder htdocs, and there it is there, and you can see there's the correct address. And now I'm going to set up my server. So the server, I'm just going to call it STG server to go, and I'm going to connect using the local network. If you are publishing, then any hosting site will give you the FTP address and the username and password that you'll need to connect to that FTP address so that you can publish it and people can read your blog. But we're going to use the local network, and here I'm just going to find again that folder on my USB stick that is running my Apache server. The web URL, that is the same as on the server to go site that you can see here, so I'm just going to copy that and paste that in there. And then htdocs is actually the root folder of this site, and the my blog folder is inside that, and that is the root of this particular blog site. So I click on save, and you can see that I've got my server to go. There it is. There's my address that's on the USB. It's H drive in this case. It's a local network connection, and this is very important that I click on this as my testing server so that from Dreamweaver I can launch my pages. And click on save there, and you can see that down here I've got this green folder, and if I click on connect, now I've got a view of the folders. If my remote server, testing server, local view are not all the same folder, which they are in this case, I might have, for example, a copy on my local computer. I might have the testing server running on the USB. I might have my remote server, which is my live server, running on some IP address somewhere out in the web. Then Dreamweaver can manage those three folders for me and automatically copy the files and keep them updated. In this case it's very simple because the local folder is on the USB, and the remote server is also on the USB, and the testing server is also on the USB. So that makes life very easy. Of course, if I lose the USB or it gets damaged, then that's a concern. So of course this folder represents the same folder as you can see here, and it's empty. Let's just check that. If I create a new folder here, let's say we'll call it images, not that I'm going to have any images, but I might. If I come back here and refresh my view, then there's my images folder, and because they're all the same, it doesn't matter which view I'm looking at. Okay, what I'm going to do now is create a new file, and it's of type PHP. I'm going to have no fixed layout, and I'm going to make the doc type HTML5. This is obviously the latest doc type. It's also the simplest, which is terrific. And you can see, having created that, I've got a very simple, clean HTML code. First thing I'm going to do is save that, and we're going to call this blog.php. And notice that we're in our my blog folder, which is inside our htdocs folder. Just double check that each time. Alright, so I'm going to create a title here, my blog. Alright, and we're going to have a very, very simple page here. So I'm just going to put a welcome message here, welcome to my blog. Okay, and we'll make that a H1. Okay, of course we can do all of that straight here in the code view as well. As you get more proficient at using HTML tags, you'll often find that it's easier to type into the code view. So we're going to have a H2 tag which says entry number 1. We'll have a H3 tag that says entry date, and we'll put the date in. We'll just put today's date for now. And we've got the actual blog entry itself, which can be paragraph text. This is a blog entry. Okay, so that's very simply what our blog is going to look like. Obviously, if I take that and copy and paste it in here, then I'll have a second entry. I can update this. Notice that I'm just switching between code view and design view. It doesn't really matter which one you work in. This is another blog entry. But of course, we're not going to do all of our data entry here in a HTML page. We're going to read this information out of a database. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so to do that, then we need to create a connection from our PHP page. We need to create it to our MySQL tables. For some reason, I don't have access to this plus, so I'm actually going to do a bit of cheating here. I should be able to get to this MySQL connection directly from this databases tab, but I can't, so I'm just going to show you how I got there. So under bindings, I'm going to record set, which we'll need to do in a minute, and we're going to define a new connection. So my connection is going to be called my blog, not bulg, my blog DB, and the server is 127.0.0.1. It's the same as before. The username and password is the one that we set up in the MySQL before. And you might recall from that video that I saved, very cleverly, I saved my password in a text file, and so now I'm going to use that in Dreamweaver to put my password here. And I should be able to click on select here, and it gives me a list of the tables available, databases available in the MySQL table I'm connecting to. In this case, I'm going to connect to my blog. I can click on test and it should say I was successfully connected. There we go. So now I've got a new connection. You'll notice down here it's created a new connections folder. Alright, so my new record set, now if you managed to do that through the database, then we're now in bindings and we've clicked on new record set. So our record set is going to be called RS for record set blog. Connection is to the myblog DB, and if there were more than one table we get that list here, but we've only got one. We're not going to filter, but we are going to sort by date descending. So that will mean that the most recent blog entry comes at the top. Can click on test and we should get that one entry that we already entered into the database. So we can click on OK, and now you'll see that we've got this record set here. There we've got our fields, and all this has been created by Dreamweaver for our database connection. We've got our connection to our database.php, and if we have a look at that, you can see that here is all of the details that we need for connecting to our MySQL database. The URL, the address of it, the name of the database, the username we're going to use, and the password. We've got a whole lot of helper functions that I'm not really going to go into now, but we've also got the SQL required to get the data out of the database. So this is not the time that we're going to talk about that, but there it is anyway. What we need to do now is to, instead of having this static text, we need to get the text out of our database. Very exciting. And Dreamweaver can help us with all of that. Over here we click on to server behaviors, and you can see that there's a whole lot of options here. So what we actually are going to get out is dynamic text. Where are we going to put that? We're going to start with this one here. So we're going to put into entry number here the ID as shown in here. As you know, that's an auto incrementing number. So instead of having a number 1 there, we're going to add some dynamic text from the ID field. Click on OK, and it's put some little code there for us. You can see that it's wrapped it in this PHP tag here. The entry date, OK, we're going to add some more dynamic text, and that's going to be the entry date. We'll get rid of that. OK, and the text here, of course, is going to be the actual text of our entry. Dynamic text entry. There it is. Now, we don't need this second one. Get rid of that. What we're going to tell it now is we're going to take this information and we're going to repeat that for as many records as there are in the database. And notice when I've selected that, it hasn't selected all of our tags. I'm actually going to come over here into code view and select all of that information there, and under server behaviors I'm going to add a repeat region. I'm going to tell it to repeat all records. Click on OK, and you can see that it's put this little repeat here. In the code you'll see that it's created a do while loop for us. So while there are more records in the database to fetch, it will keep doing this and add them one after the other after the other. Alright, let's save that. Now that we've saved it, let's see what it looks like. So we can go in here and preview it in a browser, and there is our blog coming out of our database. We've got entry number 1, entry date. Notice the format here, we'll have to do something about that in a minute. And here is our test blog entry, and that is the same text that appears here. If we come into our database and edit this, put a couple of exclamation marks on the end and save that, come back and refresh this screen, you can see this is coming straight out of our MySQL database. Outstanding. In the next video, I'll show you how to create new entries. See you later.